Welcome, dear friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy, my husband is Paul, and we are an early retirement, debt and mortgage-free couple living in the state of New York. And this channel basically shows you how to live a full, abundant life while spending less money. We are so happy to be able to share today's video with you. Today is Tuesday, which means it's viewer's choice or challenge. I went over to the community board and gave you 3 choices of recipes to make from my 1920s cookbook, the Priscilla cookbook. 40% of you chose the squash biscuits. So Paul and I are creating those for you today. We're also going to get out in the garden and show you we have our first edible harvest, meaning enough to actually make a meal out of. So we're excited to share that with you. And then Paul and I also sat down and we had a conversation the other day about how no matter what we do, if you're saving money, if you're putting away food, you're paying down debt, everything you're doing, are you still looking for that peace of mind that comes from that financial security? Like our thumbnail said, no spend, no worry. Well, is that true? So we want to touch upon that just a little bit as well. The first thing we are going to do is turn the camera around and get into the garden. We can't wait to show you what was ready to pick. Paul is picking the first batch of our yellow beans. All of a sudden, we got a heavy rain, and they're like all ready to be picked. So I am going to jump in and give him a hand. Over here, we have more. They are coming in so beautifully. We have an entire bowl full of our beans, our yellow beans. I'm not sure how I'm going to make them yet, but stay tuned for the next video because I will share whatever we do with them. I may make them Italian style with a little zucchini and tomato. You'll have to come back and see, but what a beautiful bowl of the yellow beans. These are our red cherry peppers. They're hot. They're coming in so well. Hopefully we'll be able to pick some of those soon. We got a bunch of them. These container gardens honestly are the way to go. The tomatoes are just coming in bunches. They're starting to turn red, some of them. Just so happy that we're going to be able to start eating a lot of this soon. And we still have so many green tomatoes. Y'all remember the suckers we took that grew between our tomato branches? Look at how big they are. So those of you who told us to do this, it works. This is proof it works. And the best part is we're even getting flowers on them. Can you see this? We're getting flowers. So this is great news. Free tomato plants. And our growing season goes into September, so maybe these will actually produce. Here you go again. We've got some on this branch as well. My snowball bush is out of control, huge this year. I'm not 100% sure, like I said while we were outside, what I'm going to do with this first batch of yellow beans. We're very, very excited to try them. We will share the recipe we're using. It's so funny. We've had maybe 4 little tiny red tomatoes. That's it. Everything else is green. Now, the next thing we want to do is get into the kitchen and show you how to make those delicious squash biscuits you all asked us to prepare. So we're going to turn you around again and we're going to get in the kitchen. Our recipe today is coming from the Modern Priscilla cookbook. This is copyright 1924. So it's in rough shape, but let me tell you, I love it. This is the recipe we're going to be using. Squash biscuits right here. Please take a screenshot now with your phone if you would like the actual recipe. And you can see this is a well-loved page. There's all kinds of spills here, and down here it's all messy. I'm wondering if they made this recipe, or obviously one of the recipes on here. I'm wondering if it was the sour milk biscuits, but we're going to be making squash biscuits. Here are the ingredients for our squash biscuits. We're going to start with 2 cups of flour, and then in this bowl I have 3.5 teaspoons baking powder, 1 teaspoon sugar. It did call for a full teaspoon of salt. I put in a 1/2 teaspoon. It called for 2 tablespoons of butter and 1.5 tablespoons of lard. I don't have lard, so we have got 3.5 tablespoons of butter, a 1/2 cup of milk, and then it calls for 1.5 cups cooked strained squash. I'm not sure how to cook it. I personally would add it raw, but I don't want to deviate so much from the recipe. So what I'm going to do is just saute 3 cups of squash. We'll see how that comes out. They did not tell us how to cook the squash. So what we did was we grated the squash and we packed it in to about 3 cups, because I figure there's a lot of water in this, and after we cook this it should be about 1.5 cups. And we ended up using that entire squash. So we are just going to dry cook this. I don't even have anything in the pan with it. We just have it over a medium heat, and I am just sauteing it to get the water out, because as you can see there is a ton of water in here. I am feeling in a pretty yellow, sunny kind of mood today. Oh, I love this bowl. So now while our squash is sauteing, we're going to sift our dry ingredients. And as I've stated before, I do not own a sifter. I use your basic strainer. Give it a little sift, a little pat, and now I add the rest of our dry ingredients, and we're going to continue to sift this. Everything is sifted. Now it says to cut in the butter. I grate my butter when it's cold to cut in. Be careful, it goes quick. You don't want to scrape your fingers. So this is how I do it. Now I just rub it in with my hands. So I just do it like this. I know a lot of people have a pastry cutter. I don't have that. So I just take my hands and do this until I feel the butter is all incorporated with the dry ingredients. Here's our squash. It has been cooked and almost all the water is out of it. I just kept cooking it till it was pretty dry. This started as 3 cups of uncooked zucchini, and after you cook it, those 3 cups of uncooked zucchini come to just about 1.5 cups cooked. And now I'm going to add our 1/2 cup of milk, and I am going to take my fork and just mix this all together, because we don't want to overmix our dough, because these are biscuits and we want them tender and flaky. So I work the dough with my hand. Actually, I put the fork aside and just went in with my hands for about 20 seconds. Like I said, I don't want to overmix it. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a biscuit maker. I love biscuits, but it's just not something I know how to do very well. So stop grimacing if I'm doing it completely wrong. All right, so I patted this out. I'm doing it right on my mat. It says pat it out and then take your biscuit cutter and make your biscuits. So there's one. These need to go on a greased pan, but I am using my baking mat. They go in a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. But I'm going to keep an eye on them because, again, I am not a biscuit maker, so I don't know what to expect. So let's get these in the oven. Here we go, 15 minutes, hot out of the oven. We are pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful.
They rose. Oh my goodness, I was so afraid they wouldn't. A nice little rise. I mean, they're not huge. I will take this. Look at them. The bottoms look perfect. I don't think that's too well done. They are just gorgeous. So we're gonna let them cool for just a second and then we'll take a taste. We transferred them to a wire rack to cool. Now I am just gonna break one open.
It's beautiful. It smells incredible.
Let's get a little butter on this.
Here it goes. The squash country biscuit from 1940.
No, 20s.
1920s. Let's see. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, they knew what they were doing back then. Wow, you could have this with soup. You could have this with breakfast. If you wanted to, make the same dough, but add maybe cheddar cheese. You can make it like a cheese biscuit.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, that's delicious. Hey, from the South, if you like the sausage gravy, right on top of that, baby.
Biscuits were totally Paul approved. He loved them. I made a simple stew last night in the crock pot with some leftover London broil we had. And I split the biscuits and I put the stew over top of it. It was simple. It had some carrots, celery, potato. I had some homemade beef stock in the freezer. So that went into the crock pot. It was so delicious, using up bits and pieces again. And then over those biscuits, it was a win-win. Now we just want to give you a little bit of food for thought. Just a little bit. Paul and I had a friend over on Sunday. It was her birthday and I wanted to make her traditional Sloppy Joe birthday meal that I make every year for her. She loves our Sloppy Joes. So while she was here, it reminded me of when I was younger and how Sundays literally were a day of rest. I come from an Italian background, so it was a day where we would go to church in the morning, we would come home, have a big pasta dinner, and there would always be meat on Sunday with the pasta meal. Sometimes it would be braciole, which is like a thin beef that you would stuff and roll and put in the tomato sauce, or sometimes it would be sausage or meatballs. So it was a very, very festive day on Sunday. And blue laws were in effect back then as well. Now, I am not talking prohibition of alcohol or sale of alcohol. That's not what I'm getting at here. I'm talking about how stores were closed on Sunday. Sunday was a day that everyone knew you just kind of rested and relaxed. What happened to that? What happened to that no-spend Sunday where you were forced literally to be home, to learn to relax, to be with family? It was a time for a special leisurely meal. No one rushed because you had nowhere to go. Thinking back to when I was young, it was a lovely day. What has happened is retail shopping has opened 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So let's not even think about the one day a week we used to have that we were able to rest and regroup and rethink. But now you can get on the internet 24 hours a day and spend money. You can shop 7 days a week, no problem. You can spend your money 7 days a week. Someone's out there ready to take it. What businesses are closed now on Sunday? You have your government buildings are closed on Sunday, your post office, your libraries, your banks. Think about it. What's open? Your essential businesses, which we thank you from the bottom of our heart, and shopping, retail. That's what's open. That day of rest that we used to have has totally just gone by the wayside. But I'm going to tell you what Paul and I do. Because to get that no spend, no worry attitude, you need to self-impose a day of rest, a day of no spending. This is your gift to yourself. Is it possible, and if not a whole day, how about a half a day, to get back to doing and spending nothing? Just telling yourself, this day, we're not going to spend money. This day, one day a week, we're going to take it easy. We are going to recharge. We're going to rest. We're going to visit with family or friends, whether it be Skyping or on the phone or writing a letter. We're going to sit down and have a meal. What has happened to those principles? Now, you may say to me, Emmy, it's not money saving. It's got nothing to do with anything. And Paul and I have to say, will disagree with you because it does. It has to do with recharging, refocusing. So much of what impulse buying is instant gratification. We want to be gratified. We want to feel good about ourselves. So we'll buy this or we'll buy that, looking for that quick boost of adrenaline. Oh, I just ordered a brand new happy planner, let's say, because that would be something I would love. But telling yourself this is a no spend rest day, it saves money, it recharges the brain, it refocuses you. We have been denied that. That has been taken away from us. So what do we need to do? We need to give it back to ourselves. Literally, even if it's a couple of hours a week, if you have a busy schedule, you're working 7 days a week, then I totally get it. But if you can carve out just a little time for yourself to unplug from electronics and get back to basics, stop spending a half a day, 1 day, whatever works for you. You're going to be more peaceful. You're going to be more content. You're going to be more focused, and you're going to be more productive in your day-to-day duties. On Sundays, I don't wash clothes. Paul doesn't mow the lawn. We don't do giant household chores. It's just what we've chosen to do to let ourselves rest. And I cannot say that is a day we 100% don't spend money, because that would not be truthful. Because we may have to stop to get something if I forget on Saturday, so I don't want to tell you a falsehood. But it is not a day that I will get on the internet or we will go into a physical store and do our shopping. Why? Because it's just a day we've chosen to rest. We as a society are stressed, we're anxious, we're constantly on the move. And taking some time for yourself and maybe picking a no-spend day once a week, make it a day of rest. Again, if you're working 7 days a week, of course, this isn't going to work for you, but you pick any day, anytime. Give yourself a break. We can save all the money we want to, but that doesn't take away 100% that anxiety that society is giving to us, that we need to do more, we need to be more, and we need to perform more. We're busy. I know how busy we are, and we're retired. And I remember when we worked, it's a constant. So just take a couple of hours. If you are blessed to have a whole day that you're able to just chill out, relax, enjoy life, take it. If it's a half a day, great. If it's 2 hours, if it's an hour, you owe it to yourself. You really do. Just a little food for thought. Today's question of the day: what do you remember about maybe going to grandma's house or grandpa's house or an aunt or uncle or your own mom? What made that day special? I am sure each and every one of us can go back in time and pick out those days. So please share with us, what made that day special to you? What makes it special to you now? How do you rest? How do you unwind? What do you do? Because we are a go society. And again, you can save all the money in the world. If you don't have the peace that goes with that reassurance that you have done enough, you're doing enough, you're worthy enough. So we hope this video was encouraging. We ask you please to give this a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. We're wishing you a wonderful week. We ask you to stay well. We ask you to be safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, we'll see you soon.